Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Today we're going to be doing a full line stencil quilting tutorial. It has been a minute since we have done one of these where we have done a quilting tutorial on our sit down home sewing machine, but we're going to do it today. I may be a little rusty because it has been about a year since I've done quilting on my home sewing machine versus long arm, and it is just a little bit different skill set, but we'll do it today. We're going to be working with the Love It stencil from Full Line Stencil. I think you guys are really going to like it. It is different than the plastic ones you'll see in the store because it's like a screen printing panel that you would use to like print a t-shirt. We have these in the shop and also in dark gray as well, just, you know, shameless plug. But what it does is it pushes this chalk powder all the way through, so you have a nice straight line to follow as opposed to dotted dashed ones, which can be a little bit confusing, especially when you have kind of a complicated design. We're going to work on doing this stencil, and we're going to be going in and out and really just being very mindful of having nice arcs and stopping when we need to. And also, just to let you know, I had to refilm this intro because I definitely left my audio off for like the first 6 minutes or so of filming. So what you hear next is not our normal audio quality. I apologize. We're going to enhance it as much as we can, but I kind of had already started sewing, so there's not much we can do to unsew it and redo it. So I'm sorry. It'll be better next time. So with that, let's get into the tutorial. All right, so to get started, I just have a 1/2 yard of fabric. This is a really good option for those fabrics you regret buying, but you want it to be kind of like a blender or a solid because you do want to be able to see your lines that we're going to put on there. We use a quilt pounce pad. This works with any stencil you get, but it's specially designed to go with the full line stencil. And some Machiner's quilting gloves are great. Highly recommend these. You can see mine have been well loved, and they do get the color from the chalk on it, but it doesn't transfer back over. My pounce pad has been well loved too. I think some oil from my long arm spilled on it. It doesn't look as good as the new ones, but it still works, so we're going to use it. All right, so if you've never used a pounce pad before, they are going to come and there's going to be a bag of chalk powder that goes with it. I recommend getting a pink and a blue, and one of them will work on whatever color it is you're working with. And sometimes you have to use different colors depending on the time of day and the lightings. Maybe one will show up better than another. But this is like a bank stopper. You pop it off, fill it up with chalk, and then you're going to bang it hard on a hard surface with the plastic part on 50 times. And then you're going to repeat that when you are filling it out for the first time. If you have already used it before and it's already been primed, you don't have to worry about that. But you should have it be pretty fully saturated. This started off white. It is now very, very blue. So we're going to give that a go. And to do this, it's so super simple. I'm just going to line mine up straight down the center here. And what I'm just going to do is, because I want to have something to grip on, and you can 100% get 2 by 2 on here, and we could line it up and get 2 of these in, but I want to have something to grip onto, so I'm going to go ahead and put mine straight down the center. And what I do after I primed it is I'm going to hold it at the bottom, and I'm just going to swipe up. It's called a pounce pad, so people kind of want to like pounce, but that's not how you use it. We want to swipe. I think mine needs to be primed a little more. All right, now before I move this too far, what I want to do is kind of pull up and see and make sure that I'm seeing lines through in all the corners. I am. Let's check these sides. We're good. All right, so now I can remove this. And you can see these like targets, and so what we want to do is line those up because this is an overall design, so you can just do the heart all the way down. You would mark the center of your quilt, the center line, and just go straight down and do 1 row at a time. But what you do is we're going to line up that target, and we're just going to place it on top of the target from the other side. And when we do that, then this line here ends right where that one ended. So I can just go ahead and get that. It's a little easier to do when you have an actual block, because you can use that to help make sure that you're nice and straight. But we're just going to I think I'm gonna bang it again. See how that transferred? Really well. All right, so we've got some really clear hearts that we can follow. I'm going to take a little peek here. We're going to give you a preview of how we're going to tackle this. So you kind of just want to think of it of going from half heart to half heart. And anytime you have a point like this, that is a good spot to stop and rest, because you're able then to pause and reconsider where you're at, maybe adjust your hands, and then you won't end up with a funny little bump because you didn't get going as smoothly out of it as you thought you would. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to pause there, and then we're going to come around and pause, come around and pause, come around and pause, and at any of these pausing points at that tip of that heart, that is where we're going to sort of think, where am I going next? Take a peek if we need to, and adjust our hand position so that way we can get through this really well. All right, we're going to get going on this, and we're going to actually start sewing. I'm going to do a couple of things to get ready for this. First, I'm going to drop my feed dogs. That way, you're going to be the one moving it and setting the stitch regulation, not the machine. Now, I also just want my needle in my center position. That way, we're good to go there. And I am just, let's see, which way do I want to go? I think typically what I would do is I would quilt with it in my lap. Now here's something you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure that this is not dragging across your body as you're coming up. Because if you do that, the chalk is going to rub off on you, and it's not going to be on your quilt when you need to be able to see those lines. So that's not going to be good. So what I'm doing, I put my needle down and back up again. And I'm going to pull that bobbin thread to the top. It's not super necessary for practice pieces like this, but it's a good habit to get into. Then I'm just going to put that needle down for a second while I get myself the rest of the way ready. So at this point I'm going to get started, and I forgot to tell you, my biggest trick, if your machine has a speed control, move it to medium, because then you can put your pedal all the way down and still have a good steady stitch. So I like to kind of get going a little to kind of get my rhythm. Especially since it's been a while since I've done it on a home sewing machine, so a long arm. And I'm kind of stitched in place a little at the beginning, at that part. And now we're going to come around. And you can kind of see that when I am moving hands, I like lifted that thumb up and moved it over, because I do not want to swipe across this chalk because it will come off. Alright, so I have now reached right here. So I've come around in here. My hands did not have a good position anymore. So I need to stop, and I need to adjust, and I need to move so that way I can get to my next heart over here. Got a little wide, got some wide stitches there, but you gotta just recover, and you gotta not think about it. Because if you're thinking about the mistake you just made, you're not gonna be thinking about where you need to be going next. Alright, so my hands are way out here. I do not have a lot of control of where I'm going anymore. I need to stop and reposition. I'm also gonna reposition my camera so you guys can get a little bit better look and kind of see more of the angle that I'm seeing. Alright, so next I've got to zoom around and get over to this heart. So I want to make sure that my hands are in a good position to do that. Just going nice and slow. Into that center heart and work my way back out. As you start to get more comfortable with it, you can definitely take some liberties with your heart shapes. I definitely need to stop and reposition my hands at this point. We're going to go ahead and lift that and move it so that way I can get to my next heart. Line a little there, but no big deal because the line is going to go away. You want to listen as much as you watch because your sewing machine should be going at a nice steady rate. And then as long as you're also moving the fabric at a nice steady rate, then you're going to have nice even stitches. Totally missed the line there. Again, the line's going away, so no big deal. As long as you have nice smooth curves and the pointy centers of your heart, no one's ever going to know. Tell that my hands are very spread out at this point. It is definitely going to be time to stop the next heart center. All right, come to a complete stop there so we can keep on going. Get my hands a little bit better centered. I always kind of want to be about, hand distance apart like this. You really can't quilt any more than that, and that's about all you can do. So you don't want to keep them any further apart than that or you will lose your control. It will not turn out right. Definitely time to reposition hands again. Alright, that last one got way off. I'm sure you can see I came in too much. It was because I totally lost control of my hands and I needed to move them earlier than I did. Always come to a complete stop when you're moving your hands, and always lift your hands and then set them back down. If you drag them across, you're gonna take that chalk off, then you won't have lines to follow. I would get started stitching in place a couple of times to sort of get that rhythm back going. Getting some nice even stitches because I'm listening to the machine and trying to move it at a nice steady pace, following those lines. Nice curves, find a point, and more curves. So I'm going to show you how you would remark this to do your next set. So we can see we've got a little hash mark here and again over here. So there also are hash marks on the place on the sides here, and that's what you want to line up. So we want to get those. I like to just put my finger right in the center until I've got it right over the hash mark that's beneath it. And then I like to just peel back and make sure that I'm not going to be overlapping any previous stitch lines. You can always adjust as you go, but it's a lot easier to just not have the line there to start with. Check and see how that transferred. Very well. All right, so now we can work backwards, and we can put this little target right on top of our target here. Just lean that over, double check our sides to make sure we're not overlapping anything, and we're not. And now I can just do this little section. Sometimes you'll end up getting some double vision lines where your piece moved a little bit on you. I've got some here for sure, but you know what? It's fine. It is what it is, and you just pick which one you want to follow. And you're not a machine, so it's totally fine if it isn't absolutely perfect. And when everything is said and done, all you have to do is wipe things off. And I'm just gonna zoom in a second so you can see that I'm not perfect, but it looks great. All right, so for this one here, we can see that I'm going out beyond, and also I came in too early on both of these, but that heart looks good. That heart looks really good. I'm really happy with how that turned out. The stitching is very even. It gets a little tighter as I'm coming into the curve. It looks like I slowed down and came in and then came back out because our stitches got a little bigger. But they are close enough to where that's fine. And you know what? When we take our glove and we wipe this off, now nobody knows that I wasn't on that line to start with and I didn't just freehand that heart. So this is why I really like Line Stencil, because it kind of lets you experiment, because I probably would not have been able to do that this well freehand, at least not on the domestic sewing machine. I probably could on the long arm, but it's just a different animal when you're doing sit down versus at the long arm. And it just really gives you a line to follow, so you don't have to think about where am I going next. You just have to follow the line to know where you're going next. And from there, you can go and pretty much do whatever you want. Because once you get this muscle memory down, then you can modify it and really have a lot of fun with the quilting as you customize it for you. So this stencil is called Love It. It's from Line Stencil. You're going to make sure you get a pounce pad. I recommend pink and blue. We also have Ultimate White, which goes away with an iron. This one, you're going to want to just either throw it in the wash when you're done to get it all off, but make sure all the chalk is gone before you put it in the dryer, or you can heat set it. Or you can just do like me and just wipe it off with your machiner's quilting gloves, and then you will have a rainbow of colors on them like mine. Or you can just use a wet washcloth. I've done that too, and that works pretty well. And it really is a lot of fun. You can do a lot of really cool things with it, and I hope you really have fun with these. We also did a major restock, so we've done a ton of tutorials on using these stencils to help you become a better quilter at home. So definitely make sure you check that out and stock up. They are not going on sale for Black Friday, so there is no incentive to wait. So if you see them, just grab them and we'll restock if any of them run out. So make sure you check that out. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this quilting tutorial. I hope you have gotten some inspiration to go and do this on your home sewing machine, because it totally can be done. I know you've seen me work on the long arm a lot, and that's because I have one, and it's a lot easier for me and faster for me to do it on the long arm. I know that not all of you have that. So we're gonna, in the next year, we're planning a really big series. We're going to be finishing a quilt on our home sewing machine and working on some stitches to really give you guys confidence to tackle some of those quilts in the new year and get some of those UFOs finished. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you like and subscribe and all the good things so you don't miss it when the announcement comes. We're planning on doing that in the month of January, so that should be a lot of fun. Now I've said it, so now I actually have to go film it. All right, that's enough chat. Until next time, happy quilting.